Hello to the chicos and the chicas. Today we are going to cover a topic that is very close to my heart and one that I hope is going to reach out to a lot of different chess players of different levels. Of course, that does depend on whether you are going to watch the video or not, but I hope I will see you in this video in which we are going to talk about the topic of counting defenders and attackers and why this is, in my opinion, one of the most harmful methods one can teach and or learn when working with improving players. So let's get right into it. What is the concept? The concept is purely doing nothing but counting the pieces, the number of pieces that are attacking anything, something, a target on the board, then compare that to the number of defenders, and then depending on which number is more, decide whether we can capture the target or it's safely guarded. If the number is even, the numbers are even, then it's safe. If there are more attackers than defenders, then of course we can freely capture. That is the theory, and this works about 0.1% of the time, and it does have an incredibly harmful effect that basically teaches us to avoid the most important thing in chess, and it teaches us to avoid working on the most important skill in chess, which of course is calculation. So you cannot avoid calculating in chess. That's just period. Not only that, but in fact every coach, every improver, anyone who wants to get better at chess should do their utmost to ensure that calculation is absolutely nurtured, supported, focused on to the max. Like, that is the very skill that decides the largest number of chess games all the time, every time. And what this system does from the very beginning, by the way, because this is typically an idea that is taught to beginners in order to determine safety, who struggle with visualization and calculation. And then instead of helping that and supporting calculation and visualization, they are shown to not do that at all, disengage, turn your back on, and do something totally different, which, by the way, completely doesn't work. And it does in some cases it doesn't in others, and the way how the system is designed, it can't tell you which times it works and which times it doesn't, or when it does, when it doesn't. So the issue here is not so much that 3-on-3 it's safe is most of the times, or at least half the time, is complete la-la land nonsense. The problem is that by doing so, we are actually inflicting and forcing a habit that we should do the polar opposite of, which is that calculate, man, figure it out. Go one by one, move by move, bishop take, and evaluate. This is gonna be chess for the rest of your life, provided you wanna improve your chess skills. And so instead, feeding a system that fundamentally avoids and works against this is the greatest crime we can do to any beginner player who actually wants to improve their chess. So let me show you how it works, counting and deciding versus calculating. So here is the example. The d5 pawn is under attack by multiple white pieces. Let's count. 1. Oh, actually, let's choose a different color. 1, 2, 3. Let's count the defenders. 1, 2, 3. No, I don't like that color. Okay, whatever. Oh, there we go. 3. 3, 3. That, according to this system, that means the pawn is not safe to capture. Fine, I will move on. Play blah move. Yeah? What does the calculator do? d5. That's heavily under attack. Is it sufficiently guarded? Let's check. Bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5, rook takes d5, rook takes d5, rook takes d5, and rook takes d5 in the very end with that rook is not playable because there is a back rank mate on e8. Therefore, bishop takes d5 wins a pawn. Thank you very much. And we have come to a totally opposite conclusion with by using the numbers of defenders, attackers, and actually calculating. right? Now, even if we want to accept that this system has some level of utility because in certain cases it stands true, and indeed if it's an even number it doesn't quite work, the problem with this is that the two methods, you counting the number of defenders and attackers and me calculating lines, these two worlds have zero overlap, like none, not even like a tiny inch, none whatsoever. And I tell you exactly why. Because if I did it by doing both methods combined, then what I do is that I go, oh, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's technically not meant to work, but I need to calculate. And as soon as I start calculating, I made the first 10 seconds of this reasoning of 3 on 3 perfectly irrelevant, meaningless, waste of time. Because if I'm calculating anyway, it doesn't matter if the defenders are 10 or 3 or none, because my calculation, my evaluation and my decision making is not going to be based on comparing numbers, stuff that. My decision making is based on the lines I calculated. And so what was the point of knowing how many defenders and attackers? None whatsoever. But by teaching this to people, and I have come across many, by the way, in my coaching life, once again, we are feeding them, spoon feeding, an incredibly harmful concept that actually encourages them to disengage with the most important skill in chess. And if there was one thing I can guarantee you that almost all adult improvers struggle with, who would like to get better at chess, is visualization. I hear complaints and questions about, oh, my visualization sucks, how do I fix it, types of questions. Every day. And half of the time I go like, well, if that's the first thing that you were taught to do, of course you struggle, because it forces you to not to engage with visualization. So that is the core. That is what you want to avoid. Don't count, calculate. And there are two particular areas where this is a very prominent feature of lower rated players. Number one, what you just saw on the board. When there is a target, there are X number of attackers, X number of, or Y number of defenders, whichever. It looks too complicated, too messy to calculate, so we disengage and instead we do the numbers. That's one very common area. The other one, no less painful, in fact perhaps even more painful, is endgames, most typically king and pawn endings. And the reason why I'm telling you that this is even more painful, because king and pawn endings do come with a fair degree of clarity. By clarity in this case I mean far fewer pieces, which by default means easier visualization and easier calculation, because there are fewer things to visualize and calculate, which by the way is why I always tell people that calculating and solving pawn endings is an excellent method to improve visualization. And of course, I chose this super world famous study to demonstrate my point, perhaps the most famous chess study ever composed by the legendary Richard Rayty, where if we do the numbers with white to move, we figure that to catch up with this pawn, or to reach h1 square rather, we need to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 moves. The pawn, however, requires 1, 2, 3, 4 moves to get there. Can I catch based on the maths? Nope, thank you, congratulations, my opponent, you beat me, off we go. But that is not chess. Chess is not a clash of numbers and the bigger one wins. That's not how chess works. Chess has this beautiful inner logic where there are multiple ideas, multiple concepts fighting against one another, and it's only, well, not only, but precise calculation is the one that is your number one guide in somehow managing this immense jungle. Of course, positional understanding and all that plays the other major role, but in king and pawn endings, there is none of that. It's pure hardcore calculation. And so it turns out that actually, hang on, after king g7, h4, king f6, I'm threatening king e7, c7, king d7, and get a queen. So black can't just proceed with the pawn, because all of a sudden it turns out that white gets a queen and the game is a draw. So let's go back. Easy fix, says black. After king f6 I go king b6. Then white goes king e5, threatening king d6, nursing the pawn all the way home. So black has to capture, and tada, lo and behold, I actually caught the pawn. And after h3, king g2, g3, excuse me, h2, king h2, done dusted, we caught up with the pawn, and it turns out that 7 equal to 4, or 4 equal to 7. With other words, the numeric system, the counting the numbers, had no relevance whatsoever, none. And the very interesting thing is that there is two ways to look at this position. One, you count the number of moves, yeah, you make a conclusion, and once again you disengage, you leave it, and you basically deny yourself from one of the most amazing concepts in chess. And you need to appreciate the depth of the thought here, that the white king, essentially what it's doing is that it's going two ways. It's going toward the pawn as well as toward the black pawn. So it has got this incredible split effect by coming toward the center, that it threatens to go this way, but this way too. And once you actually immerse yourself into this position and figure out how it works, it feels like you just discovered a new world, like an art form you have never come across before. And what we often do, and coaches often teach and students often learn, is that, no, let's count the numbers. And you would just shut yourself out of this absolutely sensational, really, really deep, yet perfectly graspable and understandable concept. And once again, I will repeat this many times in this video, not only is it bad, but it really reinforces the idea of do not calculate, because you can just count the numbers and you're done. And that's how we produce chess players who are bitter, disappointed because they can't calculate, they disengage every time with calculation, they can't visualize, and they have really, really poor skills in all of these areas, because we are feeding them these supporting wheels that do absolutely nothing. In particular, they do not support. I have one more example for you, but I feel like I'm beating a dead horse already. This is another favorite of mine, by the way, where a cursory glance sort of suggests that white has nothing here because h7 is safely guarded by the knight and the king. And d7, which is also under attack by 2. I'm going to do the attackers with yellow and the defenders with red. So d7 attacked by 2, defended by 2, h7 attacked by 2, defended by 2. And at this point we go like, can't do. A chess player, however, would go like, let's calculate. If I take knight d7, if knight takes back, queen h7 is checkmate with queen h8 to follow. And after knight takes d7, queen takes d7, now we recognize a tactical pattern, which is the overloaded knight, which means that the knight is responsible of guarding the queen as well as the h7 pawn. And so if I take h7, which technically is guarded by 2 and attacked by 2, so not capturable, so I guess I'm cheating the system now, then white just wins because knight h7 loses the queen. If they go to h8, I check down the queen. And finally, if they go to f8, I still play bishop f5. And at the very least, I secure the queen and the rook and win the game without any hassle whatsoever. And again, you compare the two worlds and there is no overlap. There is nothing that you could bring up where, you know, there is any useful information coming from the numeric, two attackers, two defenders, two attackers, two defenders, can't do. And as soon as I started calculating, I started visualizing, I started engaging with ideas such as overloaded defender. Like, you see that as soon as we move off of counting the numbers and we move on to actual chess, an incredible realm opens up that we're completely shut out of by counting the number of defenders and attackers. So I suggest that even if you are taught that, you really, really need to shake it off as soon as possible. And I actually encourage coaches to completely stay away from this method, because the benefits are almost non-existential, or non-existing, like it's hardly there. And the potential harm and damage is just, immeasurable. So it's just not worth it. right? And even like I far prefer, let's just go like starting position, right? We can do two things, and I really like actually teaching. Not that I teach total beginners, but that's how I would do it. If I would to teach someone the concept of attack and defend on e5, can we safely take on e5? I wouldn't go like attacker defender. I would go like knight e5. What does black do then in response? They take back with the knight. Right. Does white then have anything to take back on e5 again? No. Not counting, guys. Looking actively for what's on the board and where they are. And then I would even reinforce that, okay, so now we have got a black knight on e5, we have no knight on f3, right? Right. Okay, so what's the material balance? We lost a knight. Which knight? And we would try to here visualize the position perfectly. We lost the g1 knight, which was on f3, took on e5, and then it was taken by the black knight on e5. So where is the black knight now? The black knight is on e5. And so not only did we now engage with calculation, we also engaged with visualization. We then take care of counting the material, what was lost, what was gained. So there was a proper tiny calculation already conducted by a complete beginner who hardly knew the rules. And you have already set them on the right path and the right mentality of I go there, they go there, evaluate. Not one can't do, and then zero visualization, zero technical skills, none whatsoever. So these fundamentals, and likewise with d4, can we go d4? 1 2 1 2, yeah, good to go. No, I want to know what exactly is going to happen if they take with d, knight d, knight d, queen d4. And we can, again, this can turn into such an instructive lesson, because then we go like, how much material was captured on the white side? White took the black pawn and the black knight. Okay, what did black take? They took the white knight and the pawn. So what's the material balance? Even. Right. Where is the white queen now? I don't know. Calculate the line again. E d4, knight d4, knight d4, queen takes d4. The white queen is on d4. Okay, but are we meant to bring the queen out early? No. Okay, but can they attack that queen now with a developing move? No. Right. Okay, so actually the queen is quite well placed on d4, isn't it? And so you can work it so many ways that a very basic, is it safe to play kind of question turns into a meaningful exercise where we visualize, calculate, evaluate, talk about material, talk about positional features, talk about dynamic features, and in the whole time they are pressed into keeping the position in their mind, knowing what's where, with other words, doing proper chess. That's gonna be it for me for today, guys. Please chuck a like, chuck a follow, and follow, that's not that, that's Twitch. No, please don't forget to sub, to like, to super thank me if you can. Please leave a comment, I would really appreciate that. It also helps the algorithm, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.